In tough times, negotiating can be tricky due to three main issues. Ignoring others' feelings can make them even more resistant to your ideas. But if both parties see each other as partners, not rivals, it's easier to find common ground. This applies to big players like companies and countries too. Take the United States and Mexico, for example. The US wanted cheaper natural gas from Mexico, but getting there required some smooth talking. This made the people of Mexico angry. And instead of selling its gas, the Mexican government started burning it. While making any decision with someone, try to know the difference between your thoughts and the other person's thoughts. And what can you do so that both wishes can be respected? There are many solutions to any one problem. However, the condition for this is that you must look at every possible solution while talking to each other. By understanding your bhatna this way, you can find the best option. Bhatna is a method that can save both of you, or at least you, from accepting terms that could cause significant harm. Chester L. Karras says in business, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. In this book, you will learn the step-by-step method to get to yes in any negotiation from the book Getting to Yes. This book is for every person who wants to make himself an expert in negotiating, whether he wants to make a business deal or buy something for his home at a low price. It is written by Roger Fisher, William Ury, and Bruce Patton. Roger Fisher was a Harvard Law School of America professor and started the Harvard Negotiation Project with his friends. At the same time, William Ury is known as a famous anthropologist. He works as a peace negotiator for many corporate and government organizations worldwide, that is, he guides them in peacefully resolving issues arising in the company. Bruce Patton is also a lecturer at Harvard University and co-founder of a company named Vintage Partners. Vintage Partners is an international consultancy company that helps different companies improve their negotiation skills. For you to master the art of negotiation, we are going to discuss this entire video in multiple chapters. Every chapter is very important to reach yes. So please watch this video till the end, and if you have come to our channel for the first time, then do not forget to subscribe the channel. So let's start. Don't bargain over positions. Often, people get stuck in the middle while negotiating a deal. They are always trying to move ahead. However, according to William and Roger, negotiation is about more than winning, it is about making agreements about rights. While negotiating, both parties try to defend themselves. For example, a buyer wants to buy something in a gift shop. The buyer starts bargaining for a meager price, but the seller disagrees. The seller offers a regular price, but the buyer feels it is still expensive. The buyer keeps trying to reduce the price, but the seller disagrees. By telling about the quality and manufacturing process of that product, refuses to accept lower prices, and both of them start arguing about the cost. This situation is called positional bargaining. In such a situation, both the parties remain adamant on their views. Generally, this type of negotiation is not considered suitable because it can spoil the relationship between the two parties. The thing that can ruin their relationship is their ego. Both of them are busy trying to win. There are two ways to solve this problem and reach an agreement. Is called soft and hard bargaining. While negotiating, the soft negotiator without getting into any fights, mutual agreement, which is called mutual agreement, let's try to reach him. A mutual agreement is one where not just one but both parties get some benefit. On the other hand, a hard negotiator is adamant about bargaining. He never backs down and always tries to win by finalizing the deal on his terms. Generally, the soft negotiator sees the other party as a friend, so their relationships are mostly good. These people always insist on mutual agreement to satisfy both parties. In contrast, a hard negotiator sees the other party as an enemy he wants to defeat at all costs. When both the buyer and seller stand firm in bargaining, they resort to hard bargaining tactics. In contrast, Soft negotiations aim to find a price acceptable to both parties. For instance, if your friend is selling their bike for 20,000 rupees, but you can only afford up to 15,000, a soft negotiation approach involves presenting your case and offering 15,000. Understanding each other's needs leads to a satisfying outcome for both. It's essential to empathize with the other person's situation and focus on mutual interests rather than just individual positions. Unnecessary arguments only hinder progress. Sometimes, reaching a solution becomes impossible, as seen in business deals where neither party is willing to compromise. In such cases, it's best to end the discussion and cancel the agreement early on. Because you also know very well that there is no use in arguing here because neither of the two parties will be ready to bow down. No one will accept defeat. In such a situation, the debate may escalate significantly if there is more discussion here. Then, the relationship between both parties may also get spoiled, which is not beneficial for you under any circumstances. Apart from this, both your energy and time are wasted in arguments. So it is better to avoid such things. State your point clearly in the beginning and end the matter. Always keep in mind that you are negotiating with human beings. Whenever any topic is being discussed, there are always two sides. And both are busy trying to prove their point right. These people bring their experiences, values, and emotions while talking. And when needed, they use all these things at their convenience. In such a situation, it happens many times that different people react to one thing differently. For example, you may get very emotional about something, but the other person finds it irritating. In such a situation, there are two phases of conversation in which to make any decision. The first phase is when both parties want to solve an issue by talking to each other with consent. The second phase is when one party becomes emotional and starts reacting personally to the things happening during the debate. There is a very subtle difference between these two phases. In such a situation, you should have time to talk on any topic or bargaining for things time. It is very important to understand this subtle difference. Because during any deal, you or the other person getting angry or emotional can spoil the entire agreement. Therefore, whenever you make any deal or negotiation, remember you are dealing with humans. And they have emotions, too. Keep people and issues separate. Fight the problems, not the person with whom you will negotiate. Remember, the target of any of your negotiations or deals should not be anyone's victory or defeat. A deal does not mean win or lose but a mutual agreement. It is a process of finding a solution to any problem, not a game of win or lose. This method will work only when people from both sides look at the situation from the same perspective and try to find a solution rather than competing to prove themselves better by giving different suggestions. Many times, to find a solution to an issue, it is more beneficial for both parties to sit on the same side of the table and talk. By doing this, your focus will remain on the problem's solution and not on blaming each other for the situation. To do this, you should always avoid using bitter or nasty words for each other. It would help if you avoided personal attacks on each other. No matter how much the matter escalates, do not make personal attacks on anyone. Don't comment on someone's behavior and nature. Only then will you be able to find a solution to the problem without any argument. For example, suppose you are divorced but have minor children whose responsibilities both of you have to decide about. In such a situation, when you talk about this, discuss only this topic. Why did your relationship break? Whose fault was it? It is useless to talk about all these topics now. People often get personally attached to the main issue in their favor. But they on those issues unwanted response from the other person that means when he reacts something that they don't like, so they start taking it as a personal attack. But in reality, separating people from issues both the parties without harming their personal relationship, you can get help in solving issues and will also give both of you clarity about the real problem. The author tells about 3 fundamental problems in such times due to which people are not able to negotiate well. First of all, there is a difference in thinking between the 2 parties. However, most conflicts arise due to different understandings of facts, so both people must understand the other's mindset. You should try to put yourself in the other person's place. Don't blame others for the problem. Both should try to make such offers, which attracts others also. The more interest both have, the greater the possibility that both will be able to reach an agreement. Emotions are another source of people's conflicts. People often respond with fear or anger when they feel their interests are threatened. So, the first step in dealing with such emotions is to accept them and try to understand their emotions. Both accept this fact that there will be some things in both of them that one person may not like, calling others' feelings useless by rejecting the person in front. Even more bad feelings begin to arise regarding your offer. Therefore, give the other person a chance to express their feelings openly. Forgive them and show sympathy where needed. The next problem is the need for more communication. When both parties do not talk to each other or only talk about their interests, they are not listening to each other, instead planning your response in your mind. Even when both are talking to each other and instead of understanding, you are just listening, even then misunderstandings may occur. To deal with these problems, both listen to each other carefully. Sometimes when needed, to better understand what he is saying, summarize it and confirm whether it is what he is saying or not. Remember that understanding what someone else says doesn't mean agreeing with them. You may not agree with some of the things they say right now, but listening carefully helps you reach a point of agreement. Getting people to agree to your point. The best way to deal with upcoming problems they have to be prevented from being created. Suppose there are good relations between both parties, and they consider each other as partners in conversation instead of competitors. In that case, the possibility of this problem is reduced, and people will soon say yes to your point. Hence, focus on making good relations. Focus on interests, not positions. 2 students were arguing in a library. One wanted the window to remain open and the other to stay closed. They debated how much to keep it open, a little, half, or completely. Both were not able to reach any solution. Then, Madam, the librarian, arrives, and she asks first why he wants to keep the window open. He replies, for the fresh air. Madam asks the other why he wants to close it. So that my notes don't get blown away by the strong wind. After thinking for a minute, she opens a window in the next room, without the strong wind. Both start getting fresh air, and both become happy. Similarly, for a good solution, you should also focus on fulfilling the interests of both parties and not on their positions. This story is an excellent example for many people. In most cases, both parties have different demands regarding one thing. Here, both need to come to a consensus issue, but when they think about their ego instead of fixing it and meeting the situation, the problem starts increasing further. Like if Madam had just opened the window or to close both positions, would have seen who is paying more fees, then the librarian would have taken the side of that student, which would have increased the argument between them. But they agreed when Madam considered their interests in fresh air and not flying notes. Find human needs when looking for the fundamental interests behind any negotiation. Consider the basic things that motivate everyone. If you can care for such basic needs, you can quickly increase the chances of reaching an agreement. If an agreement is reached, the other person's chances of sticking to it also increase. Basic human needs include these things: security, financial security, feeling of belonging, approval of that, too, is something. Control over someone's life. Just think, after divorce, what does a wife want in reality by demanding alimony of 35,000 rupees every month? Of course, she wanted her financial security. Suppose the husband's income is low and cannot pay 35,000 rupees monthly. And now his wife's basic expenses are covered in 20,000 rupees, so on-talking she can also agree to 20,000 rupees. What is true for individual people, the same is true for even the biggest companies and countries. As long as one party believes that the other party is threatening their basic human needs, reaching an agreed conclusion from the conversation isn't easy. In negotiations between the United States of America and Mexico, the United States wanted to buy Mexico's natural gas at a lower price. For some reason, the U.S. Energy Secretary refused to approve the price negotiated by the American Oil Association with Mexico. Since Mexico had no other good buyers, they assumed they would lower their asking price. However, the Mexican government wanted not only to get a reasonable price for their gas from this deal but also for America to treat them with respect and equality. Therefore, he asked to sell at a slightly higher price than America's demand. But America did not agree to this but started trying to threaten Mexico into selling at the same price. This made the people of Mexico angry. And instead of selling its gas, the Mexican government started burning it, eliminating any possibility for the U.S. to negotiate a lower price. Now, America has stopped getting oil from there at low prices. Here, the reasonable price of oil and treating them with respect was the basic need of Mexico. If America had made a deal at their asking price instead of threatening them, it would not have faced this conflict and would have gotten gas cheaper from the market. Before finding a solution to any problem, know the wishes of both parties. Often, problems cannot be solved quickly because neither person can agree. In such a situation, to find a solution to any problem, the happiness and wishes of both the parties must be kept in mind. For example, suppose you are planning to travel somewhere with your family. You wish to go to a beach, but your wife wants to go to a hill station. In such a situation, if you keep in mind the wishes and happiness of only one person, then you may not be able to make a better decision. Respecting the wishes of both of you, you can also go for a trip to some mountain seeing area. Your dream of seeing the ocean waves will also be fulfilled, and your wife will visit the hill station. While making any decision with someone, try to know the difference between your thoughts and the other person's thoughts. And what can you do so that both wishes can be respected? In such a situation, before making any decision, try to know both parties' wishes and happiness. By doing this, you can make a better decision. Before finding a complete solution to the problem, pay attention to its options. When two people sit and talk about something and try to make a decision, it is mostly already decided what kind of decision will make both people happy. Because of this, when two people sit to talk and decide on any topic, the conversation's outcome is already known. Any one party will either say yes or no. But could both of you think about another option instead of the immediate result? The answer is yes. For this, think about more than two solutions to a problem. Don't get stuck in yes or no, think about every possible solution. For example, when the Nobel Prize Committee thinks about giving a prize to someone, there are many candidates for an award. And then, all those candidates are compared with each other, keeping in mind different criteria. Only the one who is the best is selected for the award. It does not happen that the committee starts debating on just one name whether it should be given an award or not. Similarly, stick to more than one type of decision. There are many solutions to any one problem. However, the condition for this is that you must look at every possible solution while talking to each other. Often, better solutions are hidden in these options, you have to find them. Always have a strong reason behind your decision. It doesn't matter how good your intentions are behind making decisions or how many people you are doing good to. The only difference that matters is how strong the reason behind your decision is. Are you able to fully justify whatever decision you are taking? And if you are justifying, then by which criteria are you explaining? Because the decision made with proper clarification is right in any respect. This is neither better for you nor the other person. Suppose you are making a deal to buy a flat. The flat broker is quoting a price many times higher than your expectation. In such a situation, you can ask him why this flat's price is so high. And what are the criteria by which he is assessing the price of the flat that is worth it for you? Similarly, it would help if you also had a proper reason for whatever price you have mentioned for that flat. You should also have the answer to that question: why should this flat's price be so high according to you? It should also be evident which criteria you are assessing for the price of the flat. Know your BATNA. BATNA means best alternative to a negotiated agreement. If the other person disagrees, what could be the best option? For example, if you plan to sell your house and the person in front does not directly agree with your point, then to make a profitable deal for yourself, the first important question is not to ask what you should get. Instead, it's what they will do if you don't sell the house within a certain period. Will you keep it in the market for sale till then? Will you rent it out, demolish it, and convert the land into a parking lot, let someone else live in it rent-free on the condition that he takes care of it and gets it painted, or do something else? Keeping all these things in mind, negotiate and see which of these options is most beneficial. And compare that option with the offer that the other person is giving you right now. For example, you want to sell your house for 50 lakhs, but the dealer wants to buy it for only 30 lakhs. In such a situation, after looking at these options, you may find that one of those options is more beneficial than selling the house for 30 lakh rupees. On the other hand, selling a home for now is beneficial if it fetches 30 lakhs. By understanding your BATNA this way, you can find the best option. BATNA is a method that can save both of you, or at least you, from accepting terms that could cause significant harm. BATNA is a better solution and puts us in a position to look at things with a flexible mindset to find new solutions. Instead of rejecting any offer that doesn't meet your primary demand, you can compare it with your BATNA to see if it satisfies your interests better. Develop your BATNA like this. Developing BATNAs requires two distinct operations. 1. Make a list of things you will do if there is no agreement between you. That means they will not compromise on your words. 2. Start working on some of your options to make them realistic. Let us understand them one by one with examples. The first is to make a list of options. What can you do if the company you are working for is not promoting you by the end of the year? Can you work in another company? Can you look for a job in another city? Can you start your own business? Or can you do something else? You can go on strike with the labor union so that the company accepts your demand. Apart from this, you can talk to the management about it. You can bring some influential person in between who can present your point to the management. Second, start working on some of the options to make them realistic. If you are considering working in another company, try finding at least one job to bring this idea into reality. Getting a job in another company or knowing that you cannot get a job there will make it clear how to react in your current job. The better your BATNA, the more power you have to improve the terms of any negotiated agreement. If negotiations do not lead to agreement, so what are you going to do? Knowing this will give you extra confidence in dealing with negotiations. Knowing where you're going makes it easier to stop the conversation when it's not toward your interests. The stronger your desire to prevent such discussions, the more intensely you can show interest in the option based on which you believe the other person should agree. The confidence to present your views to another person develops the other person's mindset about your opinion. If you can show him that this offer benefits both of you, and if he does not accept your offer, then there is no loss for you but for him, because you have a backup option to get this thing. The chances of accepting your offer will increase. Thank you, friends. This was the book summary of Getting to Yes. Let us revise what we learned once so that it becomes easier to remember and implement. 1. They should understand each other and focus on each other's interests, not just on their own. 2. Whenever you make any deal, remember that you are dealing with human beings who also have emotions. 3. Fight the problems, not the person with whom you will negotiate. 4. Focus on interests, not positions. For this, remember the story of the librarian and those two students. 5. Before finding a solution to any problem, know the wishes of both parties. 6. Before finding a complete solution to the problem, pay attention to its options. 7. Always have a strong reason behind making your decision. 8. And always keep in mind your BADNA, i.e., best alternative to a negotiated agreement. If negotiations hit a roadblock, there are several options to consider. Thank you for joining us on this book summary journey. If you've made it this far, you likely share our passion for books. If you're new here, consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the bell icon for 2 new book summaries each week. We appreciate your support and love. Feel free to suggest any book summaries you'd like to see in the comments. Until next time, thank you.